Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to your favourite session of mine, the one about jingles, of course. We're going to be covering all things sonic branding with a particular emphasis this year on innovation. And we're going to talk about how exciting this sector is here now in 2025, how we got here, and how the future looks. You're also going to learn lots from our panel members about the sound, how the sound of radio and audio brands can be seriously enhanced with some excellent sonic branding. So I'm not going to do a long introduction this year. If you were here last year, you'd have heard an embarrassing story about my first date and / jingles. Won't repeat it because it ended up being reported by much of the world's press, including that man there on Radio Today. So let's pretend that didn't happen. Don't Google it.
Do it again. Do it again.
I've got a background in commercial radio and now freelancing, and still very, very gracious to be working with Jingles, and also, as it was just alluded to, now working with AI technology as well. But these guys are the experts. We've got Tom from the brilliant Brandy, Thomas from the perfect Pure Jingles, and I spoke earlier, I said, get your name right, Matt from the wonderful Wisebuddah. They're going to be talking through lots of exciting things today, so get your cameras out, make notes, make sure your ears are clean, because we've got a lot of audio to play today, more than last year, which is very exciting, mainly for me, but very exciting. So why have we called it The Future Is Now? It's not actually a complicated shoehorning in to get close to the theme of the overall event, but it is because sonic branding is evolving fast, and it's done so a lot in recent years. And yes, this is exactly what the radio jingle production studio of the future is set to look like, according to Bing, which is very exciting. So today's conversation will focus on innovation, what's new, and we'll look at the future. But I want to start with looking at how things are right now. And I'm interested in particular to know if traditional jingles, top of hours, power intros, and some of those elements that a lot of the audience will be familiar with are still in demand. Now, Matt, you've made an interesting transition recently from the BBC, many years working at the BBC's national networks, now with Wisebuddah, so you've kind of gone from client to, broadcaster to client.
I've made the jump. I've gone to the dark side.
You know what I mean, yeah. So are the stations, are the stations you've been working for in recent years still demanding the same kind of elements that we know and love?
So I'm still pretty green behind the ears, wet behind the ears, because I've only been in the job for like 41 days. I'm not counting. But from what I've seen, and what I know as being a client on the other side, is that, radio stations demand a hell of a lot these days. They need a lot of different deliverables. So yes, top of hours are still massively in fashion, but then you'll want things like power intros in your arsenal, you'll want ramps, you'll want outro beds that match, the songs you've just played, you'll want standalone sonics that are in every single key, every single BPM, so the kind of deliverables has massively scaled up. And you have to provide these things now because everything is kind of modular, and it gets built that kind of way. But personally, like my favourite thing is still a power intro. Yeah. It's been a tool that's been around for a long time, and at Radio 1, they actually became so ingrained in the fabric of the radio station that the listeners actually started to get in touch, and they were requesting them, which is mad. So I've brought along a little clip actually of Greg James, the caveat being I've had to massively cut this down because he did a 5-minute link about requesting power intros and falling in love with power intros. So let's play it.
Right, I'm glad we have got the audio because I'm sure people would not believe that this happened if we didn't have the proof. So yeah, here we go.
Ali, welcome back.
Good morning.
Recap for those who weren't listening. What was it that you were requesting?
It was the power intro that was on Julie.
Now, I just want to check. You don't work in radio, do you?
No.
Just an enthusiast, and you love this because you thought it was clever.
BBC. Radio 1.
Then you set the nation off. People were going, oh, I love the Noah Khan one.
BBC. Radio 1.
That is a good one, isn't it? The Talamanca one is also good. Do you like this one?
BBC.
That's my favourite, the Talamanca one. But what's amazing is he did this again, and he started to do it on his podcast, and then they were just playing Guess the Song by the power intro, which is absolutely mad. So I still think they're really valuable for their strategy purpose of music flow, but
I remember it went viral, some of it, didn't it? I saw some stuff on social media, so yeah, fantastic stuff. Thomas, you work at Pure Jingles, another highly respected organisation, or a bit too formal there, jingle company, let's be honest, let's be open
Creative
about
hub,
jingles.
whatever you like. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. What's Pure's take on the power intro and other forms of sonic branding we've been speaking about?
Oh, we absolutely love them because you get to nerd out and get really creative with the song and play around with it, with the hooks and the melodies in the song. And you can tell a story in a power intro actually and connect that to your brand. So the music that your audience knows and loves, the best testing songs, you can stamp your brand on it, and it's very powerful. Especially if there's like a very cool gimmick or a little playful thing that stands out and is super catchy. People will remember it and actually like sing along after the power intro played like 4 or 5 times, sing it along in their head, and then even when they hear the song somewhere else, like on another station, they may like connect with your brand and that melody or that little hook that you put in there, and actually like have an interaction with your brand subliminally. So that's super powerful to be top of mind and claim your position, music positioning. Obviously, it's great for flow, all that. So we definitely love them. At the same time, we feel like jingle packages are still like the heart, the core of a radio station's branding, like your top of hours, like your station items, like your news, weather, travel, imaging. And research has also shown that song melodies are super powerful, much more powerful than just instrumental logo melodies, and obviously much more impactful than just branding without any logo, like a dry sweeper. Nothing wrong with that, but you definitely need a strong sonic to cut through, we think.
Yeah. Tom, Brandy, you still work, I say still work, of course you do, you still work with some amazing brands on their sounds. How do you say sonic branding has evolved in recent years?
Well, you see on one hand that branding is evolving in sounds that fuse much more with the music being played on stations. I think power intros are the perfect example of that, where the branding and the song become one thing. And it's something you see in jingles as well, where radio stations really expect the production value of jingles and sonic branding as a whole to be on the same level as the songs being played, that there's character, that there's personality, that there's artistry. On the other hand, you have stations that deliberately steer away from the music they play and start from the brand and work much more from the brand values and create sound from that instead of starting solely from the music. So I'd like to illustrate here with a few examples. You hear Radio Contact first, which is a French station, where the jingle has, it sounds like a song in vocal delivery, in production. That was really the approach there. Followed by a track for Tomorrowland One World Radio, which has nothing to do with the dance music being played on the station, but really try to grasp the essence of the Tomorrowland brand, which is huge and epic. It almost sounds like a fairy tale. And there's one track for Vincent Live, which is the drive time show on Q Music Belgium, which is all about mixing things up. Let's have some fun. And let's have a listen.
Let's have a listen.
People of tomorrow. One World Radio, the sound of Tomorrowland. Vincent Live.
Let's have some fun.
Vincent Live.
Wonderful, well done.
Nice one.
Fantastic. So all of you have been in the business of sonic branding for many years, and I wanted to know from the work you've done over the years, what's been your personal favourite, or is there anything in particular that you're just proud of and we just want to talk about today? Thomas, do you want to go first this time?
Tough choice. There's so many favorites like over the last 18 years that I've been involved at Pure. I think definitely like the work we did together actually, Matt, for Radio 1. Not just like the main station imaging, it was like a lot of fun to produce together, but also we delivered like custom effects packages that are exclusively for the BBC, Radio 1, Radio 2, 6 Music, on the main music stations. So they have like an exclusive brand sound ingrained in their sonic identity. Apart from that, I think absolutely Energy Group, very loyal client since 2008. We're honored to image Energie, both in France and international. They have also three other stations which we image, one of them being Nostalgie, the classic hits network. And I brought you guys a couple of examples of both Nostalgie and Capital.
This is Capital.
From Global. Are you ready?
London's #1 hit music station.
This one is cool.
How great was it hearing Camila Cabello co-hosting Capital Breakfast with Roman Kent this morning? Let's start with Camila right now.
This is Capital.
From Global.
Let's go. London's #1
Number one.
hit music station.
Yes. Capital.
Gonna play you that tune from David Guetta and Sean Paul that's gonna make you feel like it's summer already. That's coming up. First, here's MK.
So this was indeed like work we did for Global in the UK. Energy is coming up later on. And in the session at 4 p.m. In track number 4, we're going to reveal a new package for another UK station that is launching today with a brand new sound and I think a very interesting sonic trigger, which is like a non-musical logo. So if you're excited about that, feel free to join us for that as well.
Nice plug. Is that in here as well?
Yeah.
I think it's in here.
Always teasing, right? In radio.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Forward throw.
Forward selling.
Yeah.
Forward sell. Yeah. You could have made that a bit shorter, though.
Yeah.
Oh, brevity is also a radio thing. Yeah.
Before Thomas continues with your ad break, I think we should move on to Tom. How about you? Any work you've done that you're proud of? Favorites?
Yeah, the thing that I'm most proud of is maybe the classical work we've done, because it is, of course, technically and in approach, it's so different from producing more traditional CHR or AC jingles, but trying to infuse the same functionality and identity in a serious classical station, and being able to work with a live orchestra in a big room. I've once had the pleasure of actually conducting a symphonic orchestra myself to do it, and that is just, you live on a high for a couple of weeks after that.
Yeah, and a very difficult thing to get right, having worked at a classical station myself, which did get it right, I should say. But yeah, no, that's very interesting. Matt?
Well, because I've only been at Buddha for a really short period of time.
41 days to pick from.
Exactly, 41 days. Yeah, remember that, everyone. I thought I'd talk about some of the projects I've done at the BBC and the fact that, this is the kind of thinking I'm going to bring to Wisebuddah. I was really proud to, looking back, the work I often look back to is work that we were doing that was looking forward. In 2016, we developed a binaural imaging package for the Essential Mix on Radio 1. And at the time, that was quite groundbreaking. But again, the immersive sound is something that's coming back into focus now. So I'm really excited about bringing, thoughts around immersive sound into Wisebuddah. And something else that we did that I was really proud of was a BBC first. We were the first people to bring personalized dynamic ad insertion tech and using that to promote content. So we would target you based on where you were in the country, what device you were listening on, and we would explode promos out into, 100 work parts, and then the computer would rebuild them and re-assimilate it, and then deliver it to you. So it was a personalized trail, effectively, for content discovery. I know that the ad world has been doing that for a long time, but for the BBC, that was a really big deal. So bringing some ideas like that into Wisebuddah is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, it's great to be working with such innovative projects, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of innovation, nice little segue. We're going to move on to what's new and exciting in the world of jingles. Think of the image. I asked Gemini to create an image called Sonic Branding, The Future Is Now. I don't think it's quite hit the mark there. I wanted to ask you guys if there are any programmers out here, any content directors who maybe haven't bought a package for years, but maybe not convinced. A, get out, and B, don't get out. What would you say to them about how things have changed, whether it's the process or the end delivery the stuff you deliver? Matt?
I guess, I think if you go on to the next slide, I was thinking that like the industry's changed so much, but one of the really big things that I've seen is the depth of the relationship between the jingle provider and the radio station. And it's just getting stronger and stronger, that relationship, I feel. And it's very much, the jingle company is like the 12th man, if you're using a football analogy, right? They're the extra member of the team. Mm-hmm. And I think we've got a video that we can play that we launched on our socials, actually. And this was when we did the new package for the Scott Mills Breakfast Show. And let's watch it first, and then I can talk about it off the back of it.
Okay.
Hello, Scott Mills here to tell you about my brand new breakfast show. We booked a choir.
I feel like it needs a round of applause. Yeah, come on.
That's
but,
a great one.
Yeah.
Do you know what? What I really love about the Scott package is that when you're talking about what's new in the world, it's like the forward-thinkingness of the package itself, because it actually has a number of like secret little components to it. So the song, which you only heard a little bit of, was actually written by the show team. So that kind of really tight collaboration with Scott's team. But the song actually ends unresolved, and it leaves a like micro gap for the celebrity of the day to insert a live piece of content. So basically they have to finish the song. So it's got these kind of like built-in little nuances that you just wouldn't have got in the old days with the standard package that was 9 cuts and delivered to you on a CD. So yeah, it's got that. The choir, the house gospel choir, they were incredible. They brought some incredible energy to it. And again, having some forward thinking around those guys, we were able to record special jingles for all of the big guests coming in to the breakfast show. So they get surprised in the morning with a bespoke sing, effectively, when they turn up on the show. So it's got these like built-in elements that are kind of like secret superpowers that Scott can reveal. And like, if you want to see a couple of those, check out our socials. At Wisebuddah, and you'll see, I think there's a really good one of Paloma Faith, like having the jingle sung to her, and she's made up. So it's great, yeah. Forward thinking, I think, is one of the really important things about new imaging packages.
Great. Another good plug as well. So I hope, Tom, you've got to...
1-1.
Yeah, I totally agree with Matt that the expectations of radio stations have changed. If you look at years ago, radio stations expected from us that we deliver a finished product as if you were to hand over a box with a number of jingles and that's it. Whereas these days, radio stations are looking for a service partner, a company, some people that really think along, and that can be on a monthly, weekly, or sometimes even daily basis. Just seeing the opportunities for branding, see where you can take things to the next level, and also how you can take concepts that are already working and already proven, still take them to a next level. I'd like to illustrate here with how power intros have evolved for Q Music. Q was one of the first to reintroduce them back more than almost 25 years ago. Custom built for every single song. I mean, we all know the concept, but we kind of built on that. So let's start maybe first with just playing a few examples to see where did we start.
Q Music, maximum hits. Q sounds better, better with you. All the kings have their queens on the throne. Q Music, maximum hits. Q sounds better with you. There once was a ship that put to sea. Q Music, maximum hits. Q sounds better with you, better with you. Oh, I'll leave quite an impression.
So big kudos, by the way, to the team at Q Music, because there is a lot of co-creation involved in these, and they do amazing work. So what we've done is started from those power intros, but we've turned them into like a song toolbox, where you not only have the default power intro as you hear it here, but there's a weekend version, there's Rams, or like power intro donuts. You can play one, Lee?
Yep.
So here the DJ can announce, this is Steady Swims. Yeah, something that works really nice to enhance flow and to push forward momentum. And the next step of that is power outros. Now, I know some people have their doubts about the concept, because power intros are supposed to lead into a song. You have to think forward. Yes, but if you do the power outro in such a way that it ends nicely, but it kind of launches the next song, it creates super smooth segues on the air, which add a lot of thrust, and it just sounds great when it all clicks together.
With you.
Like it.
So here you have this perfect transition into the next song, and the next song is already started before you even realize that the previous one is done.
Great. Thank you very much. What are we now? Yes, that's where I've got my little notes. Thomas, seamlessly done. Talking of, as Tom's version of this is Q Music, very long-term client. Have you got any long-term clients that come back again and again that you've managed to build a very long-term relationship with?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the energy group that I mentioned before is on board indeed since 2008. Started with NRJ, now turns into a partnership for all 4 of their stations. And this is how they sound currently on the air. You may think this sounds pretty hot or contemporary for a classic hits format. That's deliberately because they started a journey with us a couple years ago where they wanted to change the perception of the station. In perceptual research, it showed that they were perceived as like an oldies station. That's nothing wrong with that, but they wanted to sound like a station of today, even if they play the greatest hits of all time. And we feel like Jingles really can help a station not just with the flow and the branding and the communication of everything they want to stand for, but also shift perception and images.
Great. One thing we haven't mentioned yet today, I've noticed, is AI, and it's the law that you've got to talk about AI. Although I just had a flashback to yesterday when I started making up laws and got told off about it in the AI summit. Roy knows. And don't ask what the prompt was here, but all I had, I promise, is coffee. But it's definitely AI related. So I'm keen to know from you guys how AI works in your workflows, because I do a bit of work in audio as well, so I know that AI is here in what we do and what you guys do. And I'm also interested to know your views on maybe a semi-prediction of me that maybe in the future, what's to stop the programmers and people in their office sitting there making their own jingles and saying, do we really need you guys? Should I make my own jingle for this new afternoon show feature using AI? What would you say to them?
Good luck.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
It's all about getting the right prompt, yeah?
You're embracing AI though, aren't you? Because I know that
yes,
AI
we are. Sorry, I'm joking.
I know,
yeah,
I know
but what I find really interesting is obviously technology is advancing so quickly and it's very exciting to rush to adopt it, right? But I often think that you need to take a moment, think about your AI principles, develop those. And those can be, your kind of 10 commandments or whatever, your set of rules that you abide by to kind of adopt AI in a responsible manner. And that's me coming from a very BBC background, thinking about that and thinking, right, what are our principles? Let's make them something like human oversight. Let's not let AI do anything on its own without our supervision. That could be sustainability. Let's look into these platforms and tools we're using and see what their environmental impact is, right? You can keep going. You can dig through them. So I would say come up with your AI principles and then start to explore the technology. We are using plenty of it in the process as a tool, but not to replace human creativity. I think that's one of my personal principles. That AI will complement what we do, but it won't replace anybody in the process. So we will still have, human composers, human singers. That's exactly what we stand for. But it's totally fine to use some guide vocals in demoing, some AI generated in demoing. Yeah. So that's kind of where our line is at the moment.
Yeah. Great. Tom, anything you want to add?
I totally agree. I think we shouldn't mix up the tool with the end result. If you look at the tools to create creative production, whether it's audio or graphic design, the tools have always evolved and tried to shorten the gap between imagination and creation. Back in the day, jingles were made, if I put it to our industry, with live musicians and live singers in a room. It went to synthesizers, it went to audio workstations, and now generative AI is the next step in that evolution of tools. But I think we mustn't forget that what we see as a finished product, a jingle that has 10, 15 seconds of audio, is not just how it sounds, it's also how it works. It's 10 seconds that combines expertise in music, in production, in branding, in positioning, in so much different skills, brings all of that together. And also AI, as we know it right now, is trained on what's out there. And even if you would have AI train on what you would call best practices, it would still give you a very average result because everything in the end would be the same. So I think there is definitely a place for us as creative professionals, and I think I can speak for everybody in the room here, to innovate, to connect dots that a computer cannot see, to think out of the box. AI is also limited by our imagination, by what we ourselves can prompt. But the beauty of creativity is that you bring people together and magic happens. And I strongly believe that that will always be necessary. And whether the tools are live musicians, audio workstations, or generative AI, or who knows what is next, there will always be a place and a need for human creativity to convey emotion and personality and character.
I get really passionate about the emotional connection of music and the memory encoding that music, the power it has. And like, you know, the Scott Mills video, I think, was a great example of that. Like opening the door and showing people the creative process, you know, the pursuit of perfection and the passion that goes into making, you know, this sometimes seemingly background audio. That's why I wanted to make that little, you know, behind the scenes video, just to show, open the window, you know, and show people what's going on.
And Thomas, would you agree that emotional connection, you know, I mean, most people in the audience who work in radio know that's so important, and it's extremely important for you guys who are creating the sounds of these brands.
Emotional connection is what separates us from Spotify and all the competition out there. If we forget humanity, then we might as well go into another business, I think. So yes, AI is a great tool. We should use all the tools that are out there, play with it, try new stuff. Yes, use it in the workflow, make stuff more efficient, brainstorm ideas, come up with quick concepts, demo vocals, all that. Even in the production, parts of the production, we could use AI. For example, for low-budget vocal sessions, for example, for the local market or community stations. Also, nothing wrong with using AI, for example, to come up with a quick morning show song, something topical, you just, you know, come up with in a minute, because it airs only once or twice, just in one show. Nothing wrong with that, but like a bespoke, generic station brand sound, an overall omnipresent sound for all touch points, you definitely want to use human work for that. And a great creative producer knows how to use AI, how to use the prompts to come up with great creative concepts, and we believe only a human can do that.
Great. We are fast running over time, so I wanted to ask you, looking at the future, just the future of sonic branding. I've just pressed the wrong button. Yeah, where do you think things are heading? You know, beyond what we've spoken about. You know, maybe the long-term future. But I do need to ask you to be brief with each of your answers to this. Matt, do you want to go first?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm really excited about so many areas of the future, but one of them is like in-car, right? I see that, you know, with the rise of autonomous vehicles, they're coming. They're already here. They're in, you know, San Francisco. Once you are in that environment when you're not driving, and with new cars like the Mercedes, you know, having 31 speakers and a 4D sound system, you know, that the rise of ultra premium audio experiences is here, and we need to be ready to meet the expectations of consumers in that, because they're going to want incredible experiences. Dolby did some research recently that suggests that in-car listening, your second living room, it's being called, the expectation of the sound quality is greater than that of being in the cinema.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got to be ready to meet people with amazing experiences.
Yeah.
So that's what really excites me, and what we can deliver in that area.
Jumping to you, Thomas, so we don't run out of time, but almost there. Your thoughts?
Yeah, actually, Matt and I both are excited about dynamic imaging. In our pre-talk, we discussed this. And that's something very, very, very cool for the future, where your imaging is supporting the message on your station. Think of a news bulletin on the radio when you use beds that are matching the mood and the vibe of what you're actually speaking about. There's AI tools coming soon that will allow us to do so we can be very topical. That's one side of the coin. The other is that you can use AI tools to schedule the right jingles for the right segues between songs. We're working with a partner station right now, giving them a lot of input to develop an AI tool that will allow an automation system to come up with jingles automatically based on stems that we deliver, separate parts that are being put together by the computer and then put in between two songs based on key. And I brought you an example of that case. It's one jingle you're going to hear, but in 3 different versions with 3 different songs, and you can get a sort of like a vibe of how that will sound on air.
Your FM. Yeah, yeah. Your FM. Your FM.
Coming soon to a radio station in Europe and maybe near you. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right, we're almost out of time. We just wanted to finish off with some key takeaways from each of you. So this is where you definitely get your camera out. I'm going to ask you to whiz through these. It's Matt, you first, wasn't it? So
Yeah, I didn't bring my glasses.
try and do it less than a minute, please. otherwise
Exactly,
we'll
yeah.
get thrown out.
On this one, I just want to play some audio as well. This is really important, right? If you know your brand inside out, you can really help to brief us. You know, and a great example of that is just asking yourself loads of questions like, who are we? What do we stand for? What's in this for the audience? And if you know your identity inside out, then you can really brief us. And here's a great example of that. So the point I'm making there is, you know, 3FM really understand and know who they are, and they really trust us, and we understand them. So we could push that really, really far and surprise them, which is great. 2 other points from me. You know, plan for evolution. Don't just plan for a launch package. Plan for loads of variations. Plan for things like schedule changes and like global events. The BBC are really good at doing this. For example, of all of their jingle packages, they will make an obit cut, just in case, you know, the king dies. Any program they're in, they can tone down immediately. So forward thinking like that is really important. And think beyond radio. Plan to like atomize your next package. It can break down into tiny elements for app UX sounds or social media sounds. You can have the same sonic identity across loads of different platforms, but have really specific versions of that sonic identity built for different purposes. So that's me, I'm out.
All right.
Hey, Thomas, can you speak fast? Yes?
Yeah, quick.
Yeah, I'll make it a quick one. Okay, a couple of quick takeaways from our side. Definitely you want to differentiate your sonic signature, stand apart from anyone else in your market. Obviously the sonic signature, the sonic logo trigger, that's at the heart of your entire branding. So think about that really carefully with your production, your company. Station VO, it's the most heard station, the most heard voice on your station, apart from your main presenters. So think about like what the station VO will do with your brand in terms of like the image it portrays. Does it fit your brand values, your stationality? Same with vocal sounds in your jingle package. Look for a unique sonic identity there as well. And then finally have a unique tone of voice in your entire jingle package, apart from everything else covered. Maybe a certain production technique or a way you process your audio that makes you stand out as well. Point number 2, less is more. Claim your position consistently. It's good to be very clear about what you stand for. So many stations we here in the market have like 2 or 3 different slogans in one piece of imaging. It's good to be like very concise there, to not or very rarely change your positioning, be consistent, and then communicate that message also very frequently. It's called the 10-minute rule. People usually listen for 10 minutes, jumping in the car, then getting out of the car 10 minutes later. You want to drive home your most important message at least once every 10 minutes. Finally, then program it well, optimize your imaging rotation. There are clocks and stuff like that, programming elements come into play. You want to create a good flow also by alternating various branding categories, like sweepers, then a power intro, then a jingle, then a promo, then a music bed underneath the talk. Variety. Apply scheduling rules to rotate elements within the categories, so there's a lot of variety throughout the hour. And use a thing called platooning. Take some old stuff out, put some new stuff in your imaging bucket, and your station will sound fresh and new and current all the time. And then you finally can use sound codes to match up songs and imaging, like key and BPM with smart AI tools, as we've heard.
Great.
All right.
And the final word from Tom. Very, very final word.
If I had more time, I would do it even shorter.
Yeah.
First of all,
It's difficult, yeah, for all of us.
listen as a listener. I know, and especially for everybody in the room who's occupied with production every now and then, it's such a hard one to crack. But we're all listening and working in a studio, which sounds absolutely great. But when you listen in the kitchen, in the car, you still hear things differently. It gives you a different perspective. So get out and listen as a listener. It'll also help you and tell you if that sound effect you add, if the production you add, if it helps the message or if it clouds the message, if it impacts the emotion and how you want things to sound in a positive or in a negative way. So take some distance and listen as a regular listener. 2, aim for varied consistency. Consistency, of course, is the king of all sonic branding. A strong sonic logo, a recognizable station voice, elements that you can claim as your own and that you can use consistently. But variation is queen. Mix things up to keep things fresh. If you have a jingle package, make sure it's not 10 times the same cut and structure. Mix up things so your listener is not bored. And 3, never underestimate the power of music. I think it's something we all stand for here. Sound and melody have a direct emotional connection with the listener. It's a direct emotional link to that part of your brain, and that's not opinion, that's science. And if you want to double the impact of music, well, give people something that they can sing along to, because it's so much more powerful. And I'd like to take this point home with one example. Maybe you know the case of Joe in the Netherlands, but Joe was new in September 23, and just last week, in such a crowded market, they got to 6.5% market share, which is insane. So kudos to the Joe team. But I think that one of the elements that helps Joe to stand out is the imaging, which is super musical. It has a strap line that's very singable. People sing along with it, and that's one of the powerful elements of the branding. There you go.
Marvellous.
Excellent.
Can I leave you with one final slide, which is we asked ChatGPT what is its top tip for using a jingle package. I think ChatGPT says it better than us. Yes. Trust the experts. Thank you very much.
And we're going to head for a coffee break, so see you back here in about 10 minutes as opposed to 20. Thank you, bye.
Oh, we overran. Did we overrun?
Yeah, we started a bit late, so 3 minutes.
I knew we would go.
We predicted.
It's fun.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Predicted a 10-minute overrun. Thank you so much.
I've done my session, mate.
Well done.
Cool, man.
Yeah, lovely to see you
Fun to be on a
guys.
panel once.
I think my mic's
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.